Greetings from Podcastville, you bad motherfuckers. It's Monday, the 11th of May. A beautiful motherfucking day to be alive. Kick this motherfucking mule, Lee.
Oh shit.
It all starts fucking today, alright?
No more fucking excuses. This is the year of the fucking soldier.
We're going in like fucking Marines, you understand me?
Welcome to church, motherfucker.
It's Monday, the 11th of fucking May. If you're home, you're home. If you're out, you're out. Just keep your mask on and don't fucking breathe on me, cocksuckers. It's another great week. The Church of What's Happening Now is here to fucking hit you again. Again this week. No fucking guest, no mask. We're going back to the fucking Zoom. I got a great Zoom for you. I got one of my buddies I've been friends with since 79. If anybody wants to ever investigate me or write a book, this guy will tell you everything you need to know because he's seen it across the way. He was there when, in 85 for me, when I got clean. He saw me get taken away into a fucking back room when I got sentenced. He saw me get out. He saw me get on stage. And he's still one of my best brothers today. You have no idea how lucky I am to have him in my life. He's going to be on the podcast Monday and motherfucking Wednesday. That's how big of time we got with him. But beside that, it's fucking Monday. I don't know what's going on in your life. I don't know if you got the stimulus check. I don't know if you got your unemployment, but you know what? You're alive. So stop the fucking frown and get to it, motherfuckers. Let's talk about upsets. Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje. Great fight. There hasn't been nothing going on. So I smelt a rat somewhere along the line, but I didn't see that coming at all. I like to congratulate Justin Gaethje. I like to congratulate Ferguson for the fucking streak that he put together. I was like a 12 or 13 fight streak, but, like I always say, man, it's like comedy. Things change. You can't settle too much in your success. You got to take it. It's for today, and tomorrow's another day. That's a problem we have. We think that this shit, it's like I was watching this movie the other day. It's with Ben Stiller and the guy who OD'd on heroin.
Along Came Paulie.
Along Came Paulie, and he's a guy that's did something 10 years ago, but he's still walking around. What's the guy?
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
He's walking around. It's like me if all I did was talk about Spider-Man 2. It's like watching The Fighter, and the guy's brother fought Sugar Ray Leonard, and he, in one of the ring rounds, he slipped, and he said he knocked him down. So his claim to fame was, I knocked down Sugar Ray Leonard when I fought him in 1973. That's great. But in 2020, what have you done lately, you fuck? And this is why I believe that we do shit on a fucking daily, and the UFC is something like comedy. It's just moving fast. Now, comedy's stuck. We're all down to zero, Whether it's Dave Chappelle or Lee, we're both down to zero. Nobody's doing any fucking comedy. Nobody's doing shit. We're just trying to get back. We're just trying to get over this thing. And, but it's so weird how, what were we talking about? I don't even fucking know.
About the fights last night.
The fights, how, for years we've been trying to set up Tony and Khabib. Now it's not a fight no more. Now it's Khabib against Tony and Khabib against fucking Gaethje and Tony against McGregor. I mean, that's all you see now. Now McGregor wants to box. He wants to box Cesar Chavez. The guy hasn't fucking thrown a boxing pound in 10 years. This is what kills me. Now we got good fights. The next card in July could be great, or whatever, the fucking Island or whatever. I mean, hey, these fights this week are no fucking... Wednesday night's fight's going to be great with Tosera against Anthony, and then Saturday with Overeem against... And that's Harris. My heart goes out to him and his family. He's the one whose daughter got abducted and killed. But anyway, I'm not the UFC guy. I just want to speak about how fast life moves. And when everybody's looking at one thing, all of a sudden something happens unexpectedly. You don't control anything. You control yourself and where and what you want to do. And we saw that Saturday night with Gagey. That for me is an inspirational fight because he called it, and then they gave him 18 days more to study the kid. And I mean, I've watched. I know him. I love Tony Ferguson. I'm a huge fan of Tony Ferguson. He didn't even let Tony Ferguson get a fucking submission. It was like Tony Ferguson, his jiu-jitsu wasn't even in the game. So it's pretty interesting when you look at life and that nobody has nothing down. You have dick. You don't know nothing. You're as good as you are right now, today. Tomorrow, I don't know dick about. Yeah, well, McGregor's going to fight this guy. Yeah, that don't matter. Did you see that beating that Gagey put on fucking whatever last night? Think about that, and then we'll decide what's going to happen. And then we'll see if he's going to fight Cesar Gomez or whoever, the guy with the pantyhose on, or whatever the fuck his name is.
Obviously, hindsight's 20/20, but since we're talking like how we don't know how life's going to go, I feel like the reason I felt bad for Tony is that was like the second, at least, interim title fight, like change, and to me, I don't even do fighters stand to gain anything from doing, like, should he have not taken that fight and be like, I'm gonna wait for Khabib?
Listen, it's like life. It's like life. You make your decisions. Some people want to fight. Some people want to make the move. Again, hindsight is 20/20. Hindsight is, I should have done this. I should have done that. I shouldn't have done the half-hour Netflix. I should have waited for an hour Netflix. Who would have known? You're in the moment.
Right.
You're a fighter. I'm not here. I'm not cut out to sit here and wait. I was never a waiter to sit there with my thing and make believe I'm thinking.
Right.
I was always a doer. You got to go do something. Every day you got to do something. You got to do something. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. You got to do something. So, this is just great. We've watched Gagey come up. We've all sat there and watched Gagey come up, and he raised his hand. And if you're going to raise your hand, raise your fucking hand.
Well, he had something interesting that he said in his interview with Rogan. He said something to the effect of, like, I had to lose to fix it. Like, there was nothing.
Listen, you're going to have to bomb 80 times to become a great comic. And the same thing happens in fighting. Right now, there's a fighter named Kevin Lee. He's a black kid. He's lost his last 3 fights, maybe. I don't know. I'm not a fight. But I know by looking at Kevin Lee and his determination and how hard he works, one day you put everything together, it's all going to fall together. That's why I keep telling people all the time, keep showing up to the mat. Because no matter what happens, if you keep showing up, you're bound to get better at that thing. Doesn't matter when you do comedy or if you're a contractor. Well, they're looking for experience. You start off as a fucking hod carrier, or you picking up papers and trash. And then one day a guy says, hey, come here, pick up a piece of wood. Help me cut it, measure it, boom, bop. And then the next thing, the guy's telling you to help him put it up on the fucking wall. And next you know, the guy's telling you, hey, what are you doing Saturday? You want to do a side job with me? And now you went from being a helper, from being a fucking laborer, to being a carpenter helper. And you're laying wood now. Now you're cutting measurements. Now he calls you at night and he'll go, hey, tomorrow I'm going to be there at 9. But have 15 4x8 half-inch boards cut to 4x6 so we could do this. And now you take more responsibility upon yourself and you find yourself. And then one day he tells you to do something and you cut an angle off. You didn't measure it and you did it wrong. Guess what? It's going to cost you money. Now you have to do the job over again. And even though you're a good carpenter, you got to do the job over again. You're going to feel like shit, but you're going to learn something from that. So our setbacks are always positives if you do the positive thing from the setback. I don't mind a good setback from time to time. Right now, how many people are getting set back by this situation? This is a horrible situation, this virus. People are getting set back, but you're not going to worry about it. I'm not going to worry about it. I could sit here and cry every episode that I'm losing money by not going on the road. Or I could sit here and tell you how happy I am that I haven't caught the coronavirus and I haven't put my family through all that and I haven't been in a hospital bed for 8 fucking weeks. And, I had tubes down my throat. So in life, there's always something that you have to find, especially on a motherfucking Monday. Mondays are not for everybody. People don't like Mondays. For me, I come out of bed Monday with 2 knives and a knife in my hand and a razor blade in my toe. I'm ready to stab you somewhere because that's who I am on a Monday. I know that Monday sets the pace for the rest of the fucking week. But back to just engaging in life and, for months we've been looking at this fight and look what we seen last night. Look what we saw last night, I bet there's a bunch of 155ers doing push-ups today. Dustin Poirier's, that's a good fight now. That changes the division around. Meanwhile, McGregor wants to fight some guy who wears pantyhose 20 years ago. This is what I'm saying. So, anyway, you put it was a great weekend. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I hope you guys are getting your lives back to normality little by little. This doesn't mean you're going to a fucking violin show tonight or a fucking 12-man, whatever. I don't want to see the apostles, okay? If anybody comes to you and says, we're going to a party, as soon as I count 12 apostles, that's when I don't go. Please, just because the band has been halfway lifted, I care about you. Still wash your hands. Still don't touch your face. And still fucking put the mask on. And if you feel that you've been around somebody or whatever, put a mask on. I don't have a mask on today because it's Lee. We're social distancing. The door's open. And it's a beautiful motherfucking day to be alive. But without further ado, listen. He's going to do the first half on Monday from 79 to when he moved out to Colorado. And then Wednesday, we're going to finish it off with me going to prison and me doing stand-up and me doing a bunch of other shit. So I hope you enjoy this little interview with my man, George Kolodinsky out of All-Star Sports in Cliffside Park. He's got a bunch of pictures and memorabilia up there that he sells of mine. Anytime Troy Conrad takes a picture of me or whatever, I send it to him. So if you're ever interested, he's got a lot of this stuff. He's one of the best framers in the country. So this is my brother, George Kolodinsky. I hope you enjoy it. Go ahead. George, my brother, what's happening?
What up?
For you people who don't know, George Kolodinsky is not from North Bergen. He's an original, though. He went to summer school there in 79, 80, and 81, and that makes him a North Bergen original. Because if you're stupid enough to go to North Bergen High School, then you're dumb enough to hang out with me. You know what I'm saying? Good to see you, brother.
What's up, man? I'm glad that senior year I didn't have to go back. I would have got a diploma from North Bergen.
Yeah, no, I would have had to go back my senior year, so I said, fuck it. I missed out. I was short like 3 credits. I said, fuck it. I'm not going to summer school.
I went to graduate, and they stopped me in the hallway. They're like, you can't graduate. I'm like, what are you talking about? I passed. You didn't hand in your 10th grade health book. Huh?
Yeah, no, they always fuck you at the end.
First sophomore I saw, I go, you got a health book? Yeah, give me that.
And you graduated from St. Cecilia's. You didn't even go to Cliffside Park.
No.
He's originally from Cliffside, but Cliffside Park, New Jersey, I want to give it a shout out because it has the best seafood restaurant in the country named Rudy's on the corner. They're the first ones to serve me since 1979. I used to walk up there on Monday Night Football, and I'd get a mug of Heineken and a bowl of calamari for fucking, and nobody said nothing. So shout out to Cliffside Park and Rudy's.
And they're open right now, man. Wednesday to Sunday, through the window, passing that shit through the window.
But it's funny, our friendship started in 79. I didn't see you that much till then. Then something happened. You started dating a girl from North Bergen, and I knew her boyfriend, and I reached out to you. And I said,
kind of warned me.
Yeah, you don't want to mess with this fucking guy. He's out of his mind. He's my brother. I love him, the guy. That's why I didn't want. And I could have got his ear. I could have told him, don't worry about it. The chick's a fucking dirty animal anyway. But then I didn't see you. I didn't see you for years. And one day I'm casing out a joint up in Englewood. It was at Englewood or Englewood Cliffs? Tenafly. I'm casing out a warehouse up in Tenafly. I hadn't seen you in 4 or 5 years. And I'm looking at
It's
this lot.
probably now. Junior year, probably about 3 years.
3 years, probably, because it was like 83, 82, around there. And then here it
83.
was, probably March of 85. I'm minding my business. I'm trying to walk down the street very nonchalant because in those days there was no cameras.
Yeah.
And I see you raking leaves.
Yeah.
And I go, George, Joey, and we start talking, we connect. I tell you, I'm living in a hotel in Teaneck or wherever the fuck I think I was leaving.
You were living with Mr. T.
At that time still? No.
Just leaving. Leaving.
I had just left him, and I was in a hotel on a day-to-day type basis. And I did something. I got nailed for, possession of stolen jewelry on 185th Street. So they gave me to Fort Lee, and Fort Lee didn't know what to do with me. So Fort Lee said, you got a warrant in Bergen County from 1981 for not showing up to court. So I'll never forget that they took me to the fucking thing. I asked the driver to stop at Chan's Dragon Inn because I hadn't eaten all day. They arrested me at 2 o'clock. They held me in New York till about 6. Then at 6, they were like, we don't know what to do with him. So Port Authority brought me over the fucking bridge. They saved me $1.25. And, that was the end of that. I went to Bergen County Jail. Court was like at 10 o'clock at night. And
it was late.
It was late court, and I remember they made me sit handcuffed to a guy that had blood coming out of his fucking head. They didn't give a fuck at that time. It was 10 o'clock court, and the judge said, make arrangement to pay the fine, and you got to call somebody to be released. And it just so happened I had seen you that day.
That day or the day after?
It was like that day. It was that fucking day. Because I had your number still in my pocket, written in pencil. And I go, I don't know who to call. I got one person to call, and I called you, and you miraculously picked up the phone, and you said, where are you? I told you. You go, I'll pick you up. Now, when you came to pick me up, I had the intention of you were going to feed me, and then we were going to get high, and I was going to go to a hotel I was staying at on Route 4.
Yeah.
Because I had stayed at all those Route 4 hotels. I would stay at one and get into an argument with the Hindu and then move to the other one. And then you came that night and you go, no, you're not going back to the hotel. My mom said, you come stay with us. And I was just in shock, George. I remember walking in, your grandmother, your mom, your sister, and I'm like, what am I doing? In those days, your mom had the big bedroom. You had the little bedroom, and I had the little corner on the floor. And it's funny.
I had,
You said the first thing I did was put my balls in your face.
Went right into the bed.
You said the first thing I did was to put my balls in your face. I do not remember those things.
That was the first couple of days. Yeah, I woke up and you were fucking howling.
I usually don't like putting my balls in people's faces when I first meet them.
Holy shit.
But you said something the other day that was really funny. We were talking, you go, I bailed you out of jail in the first 3 weeks. What did I do the first 3 weeks out of jail?
Let's see. Well, the ball incident, I was like pre-teabag. I didn't get a name for it back then, but you fucking were dying, and I'm still fucking have nightmares. Then one of my ex-roommates, we did a drive-by. You're like, you live there? Is he home? No. You went in, slipped in the window, grabbed his...
I just didn't like the dude. I didn't like the way he had spoken to you in front of me. In those days, if I didn't like you and the timing was right, I was going to rob you. Just for not liking you, I was just going to rob you. And something happened that there was some beef between you and him, and I'll never forget, you were like, yeah, he lives right there. He lived close to the Fairview border on Kennedy Boulevard, across the street from the Palmer's
right
restaurant. There. And I remember just knocking on the door. Nobody answered. I went around the side. I crawled into a window, and I came out with a pair of speakers and a check. Alpine stereo and some type of like hardcore check. Like it was for nothing. It was for peanuts.
400 or something.
Yeah, but I remember we were like, we only got a stereo. I go, what are you talking about? I cashed this check like nothing. We went over to this bank. We knew the teller. He didn't need no ID. We cashed the check, and that was the end of that. Nobody's fucking feelings got hurt.
You know where we went to cash that? The in the city.
No, we
Not
didn't.
the Penta.
No,
A hotel.
We went.
No?
We went to cash that check on 70th and Bergen Line. There used to be a Hudson County United Bank there, a hub. This is how old my Jimmy runs. You know what I'm saying? That same guy used to lend you from the vault on Fridays if you went to him, because it was 1984, 85. So if you go to him on a Friday, he worked in a bank, ladies and gentlemen, and he's still alive. If you needed money to buy a kilo of Coke on a Friday and you had the customers already lined up, you went to him on a Friday at 3 o'clock and you said, I need to take $25,000 out of the safe. He would give you whosever money it was. He didn't give a fuck. Could be Lee Syatt Retirement Fund. It could be Gigi Montouz. And he would give you the 25, but you would have to give him back 32 on Monday at 9. Not Tuesday at 9, not Monday night at 9. He had to have the $32,000 in cash, in bundles, the whole thing counted, because it was going right to the safe. That's how kinky life was back then when I first started hanging out with you. But I think go ahead.
And then you turned me on to my first buffalo wing. I never had a buffalo wing. I didn't like those little fucking things. I had no idea. So we went to the ground round.
In Englewood
Cliffs on 9W. So we go in there and we eat, fucking drink, have a good time. He's like, don't worry about it, my treat. So the waitress is the girl I went to kindergarten. I mean, I know it all through school. I think third grade we went out, a little third fake romance. And then we walk out of there. He's got the bill in his hand. I'm like, my first dine and dash. I had no fucking idea what it was.
No.
I'm freaking out. He's laughing. We're laughing. I'm like, I know her. He goes, so like about 2 weeks later, we go back there. I go, you got the money. I got the money. Don't worry about it. We do it again. She didn't remember. So now all of a sudden, Coco goes and talks to the manager for like 10 minutes. He's at the register with the manager with the bill in his hand. I walk out. He comes back. He's fucking, he's got the bill again 2 times within 2 weeks. I haven't seen her since. I have not seen her since.
I used to go to the ground round every time I was hungry because I didn't have to pay. I had it down to a science. I'd walk in, get a bowl of soup. I'd talk to the managers. It was like I knew them. I always had enough to tip. So I'd pay the $5 tip. Even though the bill was $28, I'd leave $5 or $6. I always had the money to tip, so they would never suspect me. Not like I was leaving a tip. And then I'd walk to the
money
gate.
On the table.
Always money on the table. And then I'd go to the thing, mingle, talk to the manager, tell him I loved the suit he had on, and then I'd walk out. The reason why I talked to the manager is because if he said to me he didn't pay, at least I could have said, hey, I got caught up in the conversation. It happens.
Wait, is that one of the ones where you can pay on the way out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you pay on the way out.
You could do either.
You could leave it on the table. You could pay the waitress, or you could pay on the way out.
Got it.
I would go up to the manager, go, hey, George, how you doing? Give him a hug. And he would go, no, everything's all right, go pay. And I would just walk past the waitress.
It was a very trusting atmosphere back then. Now, everybody trusted everyone.
When I lived with you in 85, that run, believe it or not, do you know I didn't do any drugs? I was just smoking pot.
That was earlier. You're talking 80. I think
I'm talking 85. I wasn't doing coke. I was just stealing, living with you, and just trying to figure out what my next move was. I was trying to get to Colorado. So I got a job working for a masonry guy in Cliffside Park. He only said one word in English, mortar, because mortar, that's all he ever said, mortar. And I worked for him for about a month and a half. And then we did a stairway to a house next door to like a house that was kind of loose. And I went back that Friday night and robbed the house. And then I didn't show up back to work Friday because they were going to blame me anyway. I never heard from them. And then I went to work for this guy named JHS Construction. Real fucking redneck, white piece of shit from Fairview. He would meet me at a diner, not buy me breakfast. Then he wouldn't pay me for windshield time. He was a real scutch. He would fucking, bounce checks on me and whatnot. And one weekend, he gave me like a check that was light. Like the motherfucker gave me a check that was like, I owe you for 40 hours, but I'm only going to give you for 35 because that's the way life is. And he goes, I'm going down the shore with my wife. We're going on a boat to hang out with the fucking Rockefellers. I'm like, really, bitch? Perfect. You just told me you're not going to be home all weekend. So he wasn't gone 10 minutes. I told you I'll be back in an hour. I went up there. I kicked his fucking door down. I took whatever cash he had, but on the way out at the bar, he had a big bottle of Dom Perignon. Not the regular bottles of Dom Perignon, but the
Magnum.
The Magnum. I still remember walking like a Puerto Rican down the street in fucking Leonia with a bottle of Dom Perignon in my hand. I had the case. So we could sell it, but I went back to the house, and it was you and I. And
late. It was late. It was like 9:30.
9:30, and Grandma had just come back from bingo. When I moved in with George, I also had the pleasure of him introducing his grandmother and his mother to me, who had now became my pseudo mother and grandmother. And it was really weird. About that time we went. It was Easter Sunday, and we went to Julia's in Union City, and I got
Julia in Union City. Yeah,
because when I left to live with you in Cliffside is only 10 minutes from North Bergen, but the North Bergen people, it's a world away.
Oh, I was afraid of North Bergen growing up.
Right, yeah.
Like when we played baseball, we would play. I don't think I played against you in grammar school basketball in 8th grade. Well, we played Lincoln. We didn't play McKinley. I think we played Robert Fulton, and three games, which we won against all you North Bergen motherfuckers. But when we played baseball or football, we had to go to 64th Street.
Yeah,
it was a war zone, bro.
We're gonna talk. We got a show in 2 weeks. We got a show in 2 weeks just dedicated to 64th Street. But
oh my God!
So I quit that job with JHS, and in the daytime I used to get in those days. You worked for your mother on Diamo, and we all had somewhere to go till about 5 o'clock. And in those days, I was just a dreamer. I would walk the streets and dream of me being on the boat with bitches, me getting my dick sucked, on a yacht with Miami Vice. But I just didn't know how I was going to do it. I was so lost, George. You and I were young kids, and we were just lost. You had that Camaro that always got fucking towed, the Firebird.
Yeah, Firebird with no floorboards.
We just had no answers. Like, we had no fucking answers, So the only answer I had, if I wasn't going to sell coke or whatever, I figured out a way when I was staying at the hotels to go into gas stations that had a help wanted sign. And I would apply for a job. I wouldn't apply for 8 to 4. Everybody wants to work 8 to 4. Nobody really wants to work 4 to 12, but nobody wants to work 12 to 8. So I would start off with the 12 to 4, the 4 to 12. I'd say, can I come in here and work 4 to 12? Perfect. They had been looking for somebody for so long, they wouldn't even check my references.
No one did. You got a job from the newspaper.
From the newspaper.
You showed up there or you called. They don't ask for ID. It was a fucking different world, man.
I had a guy at a gas station that, our dear friend, he had a list of people he had fired from that gas station for stealing. So I told him to give me the names of the people he had fired from that gas station for stealing. And I would apply under those names into the gas stations. And they would hire me as, let's say, Steve Lansky. Now, for people who don't know, in New Jersey and Oregon, are the only states where they pump gas. The guy has to come out, look you in the face, and go, "What do you want?" And you're like, "Let me get $12.50 a regular," and they pump gas. So I figured out, what if I got a job at a gas station, pumped the gas, but never paid for the gas? Kept the money in my pocket. And when you got a job, they told you, for you not to get robbed, you should be safe and dump every time you get $1,000. So you were supposed to, they would give you an envelope every hour. You were supposed to put the money in there and then dump it in a hole. And then when the manager comes in there, he pulls all the cash out. I decided that I was only going to put $20 bills in those envelopes and throw them in. I'd stock up. I'd wait till I had $2 or $3 grand, and then I'd walk off the gas station site. It's not really robbery.
15 minutes before relief came.
Right. So
before the next guy.
Before the next guy. I wouldn't even make it. Like if I went to work from 4 to 12, by 8 o'clock, I would have $3,000 already. I would hustle. I would get, even if it wasn't my island, I would go to the full service island. I was hustling tips, and I was a good employee. You know, if you looked at me from the outside, you're like, man, this guy works. Little did they know that, you know, I was going to walk off the lot. So the first 2 times I did it, I just like walked off the lot, jumped over a few yards, got to a different street, and saw a cab driver and got in and left. I just had this luck that kept happening to me. Another night, I got thrown out of the one hotel. I get there, and my luggage is in the front thing. And I go, what are you doing? He goes, you were supposed to pay by 12 o'clock. I go, bro, I told you I was coming back. It's late. It's 4 o'clock. So he goes, you're out anyway. But he didn't give me the key back. He didn't ask me for my key back. I'll never forget this, George. I got $30 in my pocket. I got enough to pay for the fucking hotel room and maybe a bag of chips from the fucking hallway. And I go to the hotel room with the key that he gave me just to see if I had left anything in there. And when I open the door, I hear sucking and fucking in the room. Some guy's fucking a chick in the shower. And I look down, and the guy's wallet is there with his pants pocket and like a fucking envelope. I took the wallet and the envelope, and I just told the Hindu, you're right. I'll never come back to this hotel again. He's like, get out, fuck you. And I ran out of there. I found the cab. I jumped in the cab. He took me over the city. I sat in the city. I walked around with luggage. I went to 181st Street. I bought like 10 nickel bags. And then I went back to Port Authority, took a bus, and they dropped me off at the hotel where they killed Vito. You know the hotel where they killed Vito in The Sopranos, in that hotel? That's right there. They just redid it. They just redid that hotel for that scene. But that hotel is a dump. It's right there on the other side as I'm going into Jersey, not going into New York City.
Right.
So I stayed in there. And in there was the first time when I opened up, I realized I had $3 or $4 grand. And I'm like, wow. This seems like a great scam to do. But I wasn't no smarter than you. I was the dumbest kid on the block. I didn't go to Teaneck the next day. I went to the gas station 2 doors down because on Route 4 right there's like 8 gas stations. Then you would hit the Grand Union and we would get that nice lobster. Remember that they had the cream of lobster soup right there by the Grand Union. There was another hotel in there next to the Grand Union. The Sky View. I used to live in those hotels. When people were looking for me to kill me, I would stay in those hotels. They couldn't fucking find me. So one day, I actually just kept getting George, it was the dumbest thing. It's like I would go from your shop, where it is located, two gas stations down and do the same scam. And I did it to about 6 of the 8 gas stations. And then I had to think globally. You know what I'm saying? I can't fucking keep robbing locally. So I started going out to different places. There was a place by like Fort Lee. It was a golf station. And by that time, me and you were tight. You don't know I'm robbing gas stations.
This was by Lisa Messina's. There's that golf right there, down by her house.
Yes. And I said to you, meet me there. I think my shift started at 4.
No.
Yes.
Me and you When you called me, you were at Vince Lombardi.
No, let me tell you what happened. That Vince Lombardi, I almost got. The reason I called you from Vince Lombardi was because they were on to me. But Vince Lombardi, the bus had like 20 buses that were leaving at one shot. It was a parking ride. Vince Lombardi was probably the last one I did. The last two I did because I got in a bus, and 2 minutes after I got in the bus, the cops came with their lights on. So I'm like, God damn it, they're going to get me. And I'm on this bus, and finally they let like 3 buses go, and then they started emptying the buses after that to see if I was on those buses. I was already on my way to New York. I just called you to give you a good goodbye. Like, I love you in case they catch me. So, but the one I used with you was the golf station. I called you and I said, pick me up at this place at 7:30. And you were there all happy, Georgie, with the fucking car revving up. Gung, 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 gung. And I get it and I go, step on it. You're like, step on it? What do you mean step on it? I go, I just robbed the gas station. You're like, well, thanks for giving me fucking warning. You know, at least I would fucking know if you gave me warning and shit like that.
There was no hesitation because I didn't know.
You didn't know. So I used you like on 2 of those that you didn't even know. You were just driving around, and here I am fucking throwing envelopes out the fucking window. And I remember one time we went to a party. We went to like a bar or something, but because I didn't hang out with you. George, I didn't go out at night. If you think of the 85. I put you around
to meet Sammy.
Yeah, if you think of 85, I didn't go out at night. I used to go to the city, get a bag of reefer, get a Carvel shake on the way
you always
back.
Had a job. You always had a job. Even when you were doing those at night, you were doing something during the day. You always had a job.
Yeah.
You always had.
I always had some type of action going. And then I remember waiting. I had sued a guy. Me and Cy Lawrence had sued some fucking guy. And that May, they called me. Cy Lawrence got a hold of me. I don't know how the fuck he got a hold of me. Because I wasn't allowed in North Bergen. So I had to tiptoe around North Bergen. I could take the Bergen Line bus, but I could not go into North Bergen. I couldn't let.
It was still Michael Jewelers. They're still looking for you. Plus the other people.
I had Michael's Jewelers, my Godfather, 3 Cubans. I had maybe 5 people looking for me. So I'll never forget.
And here I am, the son of a cop.
Yeah, you didn't.
Harboring a fugitive.
You didn't even know, but the cops weren't looking for me.
No,
I had no cops looking for me. I was really tight with the chief of police in North Bergen at the time, so I called them on a weekly just to say anything pop up, because every week I was getting accused of something. And here I wasn't even living in North Bergen no more, so now I knew it was like a running joke between me and him. His name was Mr. Bizzacco. So I remember that one night I had found out that I was getting that check for like $1,800, and I could finally go to Colorado. And you and you had plans for Saturday. You were doing something Sunday with Sandra. You're right over there. You were doing something with Sandra on Sunday. And that Friday, I robbed a gas station. Or that Thursday, I did a gas station. And you and I ended up in a club with Mike Ascalise.
Red Parrot.
The Red Parrot and the Eurythmics were there. They weren't performing. She was just there with the guitar player, hanging out.
That place was crazy.
The
hostess that we got in for free, we got tickets, was always one of my mother's customers.
It was something real. It was like a hot club in New York.
A freaking red parrot on her shoulder. A stuffed.
And then we went. And then you had a something on Saturday. So in those days, I was still getting credit cards. And I took Mary Lou and Lubes shopping at the Paramus Mall. Like, get whatever you want. Gold chains, jackets, whatever the fuck you want. I remember I owed your mother money. I left it for her in a drawer. She was doing something. I think I only got to say goodbye to Grandma. Then I didn't see you. 85, I didn't see you. kept in touch with you on the phone.
Yeah.
Then when did we reconnect in Colorado? Before you moved to Colorado, you
What
just
happened
came out
was-
to Colorado to visit me in Aspen.
No, we were talking. I was working now. You know, my mom's place, I didn't make a lot of money. I was like just learning how to frame pictures and shit. So, to make more money, I got a real job. I learned to trade a little more. So I worked this job. I got like my first paid vacation, So all right, here's what I'm going to do in July. I'm going to go visit you. You were in Snowmass. Spend a few days there. Then I was going to go to Scottsdale, Arizona, visit this girl, Karen, that I went to school with, that moved out there with a family. We had been, got to remember, back then, no cell phones, no computer. You called somebody on a Thursday night at 10 o'clock to talk, and it cost you, $15 to talk on the phone to someone long distance. Plan this big trip. I'm going to go there, shoot home, great vacation. So we head out to I visit you in Snowmass, and you got this great scam because you're house sitting. You took over for who? The vendors?
Jimmy Burkle.
Burkle. So
God
I
rest
get
his
off the
soul.
plane. We're driving. There's like ranches all over the place. Beautiful. I think you and Carl picked me up, right? Was that his name, Carl?
Carl Hall out of North
There you
Carolina.
go, man. Great guy. I remember seeing these like cows on the side. I'm like, man, look at them dogs. Big dogs. We wound up going, so you're house sitting. So you got a little like apartment sort of connected to some huge house. Now Snowmass is like where Aspen is. It's, big money. Big money. Well, you're in the main house because the people never come there. So
Right.
you got the run of the big house.
I'm living like a doctor in the house.
You're
Fuck
living
the-
like a doctor. Kathy King, we're eating great. We're there. You got, everything is set up the way you want it. You're running that town. And so I spent a couple days, and that's like the beginning of the end because that one night, I remember you rolled this joint. We had Arkansas homegrown. It was Cryovac. Now we're talking 85, late 85, mid 85, summer. Cryovac homegrown. It was like Sense. It was tremendous. So you took that weed and you cooked a half gram of blow, and then this was the beginning of freebase.
Bazookas.
Before pre-crack.
Right.
They made a bazooka, called it a fucking bazooka.
We were calling them
smoked this
bazookas.
fucking joint. And that night I looked outside. My bedroom, the guest room, had a door that was like on a mountainside. And I just looked, and the sky was purple and blue, and I'd never seen anything like it.
It was
Colorado.
beautiful. The house was gorgeous.
So then that's it. Packed it up. I went to Arizona. The girl I've been talking to for a year, that week, she started going out with the linebacker on Arizona State. So that's who picked me up from the airport. So that trip was fucking dead. So I think I shot back for a couple of days. I went to L.A., went by you, and that's how we connected again,
It's funny.
You weren't done.
For people who don't know, the bazooka, like in the early 80s, it was free base. And everybody who, you couldn't just snort the coke. You can't just fucking snort it. Now I got to fucking cook it and put it through a silk scarf and then wait for it to dry. What a fucking process. Only white people could do something like that. That's what white people do. Add fucking bullshit to bullshit. So then they started a different thing. By the time I got to North Bergen in 84, when I made my mistake and came back to Lurk for a year, our mutual friend Rago got me into bazookas. And bazookas was, you got a coffee cup, you put 3 fingers of water in it, you put 0.3 of a gram of baking soda, and you put a gram of coke in it. And then you put it in the microwave, close the door, set it at 24 seconds, and when you heard bing, that's it. You took it out.
A little boulder.
A little boulder would be in the thing. You took it out, you put it on like a piece of paper, and then you crushed it, and you rolled it into a fucking joint, or you dipped it into a Marlboro Red, and you watched your eyeball pop out. And it started with 1, 10. I remember then we melted
I
them
saw the
all.
devil that night.
So now you go back to, now you stay with me in Aspen for about a week.
Yeah.
And you go back to New Jersey. What happens in New Jersey?
Well, let's see. I think I learned how to cook Coke.
Yeah, because it was 85 still. It was 85.
So now I'm back, and everybody's getting high and stuff. But guess what? I know how to cook it. So I'm the most popular guy around because I don't have to spend a dime. They just invite me over, and I'm like the official cooker. So I'm working for my mom. I'm working at this other place. And, in the weekends, Jesus Christ, we were just, Cliffside was booming. Everybody was selling drugs. Everybody was getting high. Yeah, everybody was.
Everybody was
getting high. Everybody. So, we got into that. So now, in the meantime, I had taken the police test. My dad was a cop, an honest cop, a good cop, good guy. And I took the test, and I passed everything. And all of a sudden, it's coming down to where, I got to take the psych test, and I'm in. I just couldn't be a cop. I just wasn't in my DNA. My dad was, but So all of a sudden, I decided
Did you take the psych test?
The Boulder. What's that?
Did you take the psych test?
No, hell no. I can't pass the psych test now. You think I could back then? I mean, I'm fucking nuts. But I didn't want to be a cop. I didn't want to be a cop. I don't know what I wanted to be. I don't know. I think a firefighter or I think I want to be a quarterback. I don't know. Who the fuck knows? But so you had moved to Boulder. And you're like, you know what? Why don't you just come out here? You and Kathy moved from Snowmass, whatever happened over there. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I think I was living in Hoboken for that year. When I came back, I moved to Hoboken. I was living in a sublet. Tremendous. It was a great time. I had a lot of fun. But it was time to go. So I moved to Boulder with you. I moved there, it was right after the Giants won the Super Bowl, after they beat the mighty Broncos. I got off that plane with a Giants shirt, and they broke my balls the second I got there.
So you got there like maybe March or February of 87.
87. Yeah, I guess it was 87. Yeah.
87. Yeah. What was your impression of me at that time? How did I appear to you in 87? Like, I remember you fell asleep at the airport because you ate a bunch of Xanaxes or Valiums.
No.
You had to bring me a Cuban sandwich.
This is what happened. Yeah,
it was
on
a
that
fucking
flight.
nightmare.
You told me bring some stuff with you. So whatever money I had, I don't know, maybe I had $1,000 on me when I went out there. I spent like $4 on blow. So I took it was US Air. Remember US Air?
US Air.
So to go to Denver from Newark, you had to stop in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh connection. You also got to remember, airports back then had lockers, like a school locker. You put a quarter in, you turn the thing, you took the key. So I'm all paranoid. I'm high. And I got like 2 hours layover in Pittsburgh, and I start hitting the package. I don't know where I was, but I didn't make the first flight. So now I got to call you. So now, before I left, you said, bring me a Cuban sandwich. So I'm thinking, hey, I stop at 47th Street on the way to the airport, boom, boom. I tell him, you know what? Don't cook it. Just give me the Cuban sandwich without pressing it. I put that in my suitcase, in my carry-on bag. So I'm stuck in Pittsburgh. I missed like 3 flights in Pittsburgh. I was there about 20 hours.
It was 2 days. I just kept going to the airport to pick you up. No fucking George.
No.
2 days.
So now I get on the plane to friggin'
There wasn't cell phones that you could say
No.
pick me up at Terminal E.
No,
you just drove
didn't even
around.
You didn't even have an answering machine. I think I talked to one of your roommates.
Nothing.
So all of a sudden, I'm about an hour from Denver, and I smell this fucking foul smell. I'm like, what the hell? Because I was passed out on the plane. It's the friggin' cheese that I've had in my bag for like 20 hours. So they didn't put it in the press, but it had already changed form just by the molecules in the air. And so this thing stinks. Everybody in the plane is like, what the fuck? So I get off the plane, you pick me up, you're laughing, you light a joint. I go, listen, I got this sandwich. I go, but I don't know. If it was me, I wouldn't eat it. You like ripped it out of my hands. I'm like, it's not cooked yet. You fucking ate that sandwich in the parking lot.
I was living in Boulder with that fucking nasty food. That nasty vegetarian shit. I would have killed for a fucking sandwich.
I got nightmares about that Cuban sandwich still, of it attacking me. So that was it. So I went. So he drives me to his friggin' new place. You know, he's got like two roommates. I think it was 2 or 3. Well, it was a couple in one room.
The chubby redheaded chick.
The chubby broad.
The chubby redheaded chick.
They had a cat. And just had kittens. Coco had a dog, Hercules. He was Labrador?
He was a shepherd mix.
Shepherd. I mean, the greatest dog ever.
Greatest dog ever, Hercules.
So I'm in there and there's kittens. Coco, I didn't even know he could juggle. But he's juggling 3 kittens. He's catching kittens. All of a sudden, he goes, watch this. He throws one kitten. Hercules is like this. Catches
him.
Catches the kitten. And I'm like, he just killed a kitten. No, Hercules didn't use the teeth. Soft. His mouth was like Jerry Rice's hands. You know what I'm saying? He just soft. Caught the kitten, put it down. He was ready for another. He's like, come on, Dad. Do it. So I think I stayed there like 2 days or something because you were just moving out.
We had a spare bedroom. One of the guys thought he was like a fucking entrepreneur. That's when the word entrepreneur came out. And he's like, I don't want a day job. I want to get an entrepreneur. So he would wake up every morning and go to fucking talk to those people, Toastmasters. And he'd come back. Like, as I was leaving to go to work, he'd be coming back. And I was selling cars at a place called Hollister Dodge.
Hollister Dodge.
Chrysler Plymouth. So before George comes out, I asked them, can George get a job as a lot man? They go, does he have a license? I said yes. So we get him a job as a lot man. We're there at that South Boulder apartment, maybe 2 weeks. Right,
we got roommates. A great house in South Boulder. It was $450 a week, 2 bedrooms.
$450 a month.
A month, I mean.
But
sorry.
Before the fucking the job, we stayed at that house for maybe 2 weeks at the other house with those people.
It wasn't long. It wasn't
long. I had a little affair with the redheaded chick.
Yeah,
I liked her. She had big red tits.
There was one couple. There was a couple. The chick was hot with a boyfriend. They were like. They didn't leave each other.
Towards the garage.
You banged her one night. She slipped out of his room.
Towards the garage. And then there was a chubby red chick that I loved to death. I used to buy weed from her.
Cool.
But when she would get coked out, she would want to suck dick and her boyfriend would pass out. So I'd bring her over to my room and we'd swap spit. And her family owned the printing shop. She was rich because they owned the printing shop. I still remember that. But that was a wild apartment we had. I remember the first party we had there. I ate a bunch of codeines. And I just woke up really sick. Like I realized that day I couldn't take codeines or pills of that nature. I never took another fucking codeine pill again. But that was a weird. We lived with 4 people. You stayed in the one guy's bedroom while he was gone. You know, I'm working at this car place. I got to say, I'm 25 years old. I don't have any direction. George comes out. He's got no fucking direction. The only thing we had between us was love. We had nothing else. And all of a sudden, we start booming a little bit. George was
remember I started working at that the West End Cafe.
The West End Tavern. You started working at the West End Tavern.
Yeah, Pearl Street.
As a dishwasher or something. But full-time, you worked on the lot. And you would get around town because you would steal cars from the lot and take the license plates. And
borrow the cars.
You would.
I was in charge of all. This was my job. I was in charge of shuttling the cars around, different spot to spot, and gassing them all up. And again, I'm from Jersey. Joey was telling you about pumping gas. Colorado, you got to pump your own gas. Well, for the first month of that job, I didn't because I never did. So they get a bill. They call me in after the first month of working there. They say, George, what the hell's going on? I go, what are you talking about? He goes, our monthly gas budget, you're 25% over what we normally pay. I'm like, yeah, that's odd. They're like, you do know you're supposed to pump your own gas, right? I'm like, no. So they already I'm on the radar. And they would have fired me right there if it wasn't for you, because they loved you.
Oh, you were going into full service.
Oh, yeah.
You were going to full service. And then I taught you that what you do is when people give you a receipt for gas, like they'll go, Lee Syatt, George is here to drive a car, to test drive a car. I would go, Lee, here's a $10 gas receipt. You ain't putting that 10 in the fucking car. You're going to save that. You're going to drive that car on E.
Right.
You're going to go to the back and have service give you another gas slip. And then now you save up on gas slips. So George we were saving up on gas slips. That was going into our car, not your car.
Or the gas station guy. You could say put 15, but give me a receipt for 25.
Yeah.
And they would do it.
And they would do it. So it was a complete different world. We were making money on the lot. Then George figured out you could rent cars to people. From the lot and fucking use the dealer plates.
No,
this is you can't write this shit.
I had to work. I had to work one time on New Year's Eve at the West Side Tavern, and it was far. We lived in South Boulder, so it was like 4 or 5 miles, and it was snowing. So I went into the office. I'm like, listen. Can I borrow a car tonight? I said, I got to work, and, I'm not drinking or anything. And the manager, that was my manager. He was a
Roberto.
young guy. Girl's name. He had a girl's name.
I don't know the girl's name. I remember we had Roberto.
Like Lynn, like a guy named Lynn or something.
Daryl was the crazy Vietnam vet.
Daryl Jones.
Daryl Jones was the crazy Vietnam vet.
So anyway, they give me like an old Mazda pickup truck to take for the day. They give me the plate. They're like, just bring this back when you come back. So what happened was, I'm like, well, if I stay late at work and everybody leaves, I got all the keys. I can take whatever car I want home and then just get it back and park it in the back of the lot. So what happened was the owner, the manager, said to me after I took a car home, he called me up and goes, listen, I'm going to pick you up because I want you to do something with me. And I'm like, oh, shit. So I had to take the truck that I brought home and hide it around the corner. Then this guy drove me to work. So now I got a truck at the house. They got 48, I don't know, what they got, 200 cars there? What's the odds of them trying to sell that fucking blue truck, brand new Ram truck? Well, guess what? Somebody wanted to buy that brand new truck and they couldn't find it.
That happened a lot.
Oh my God.
That happened a fucking lot. But and then what happened was you worked at the Dodge store. I worked at the Chrysler store. The Dodge store, the owners are in there watching you. So it was kind of weird. But even then, The Chrysler store, we were running amok. There was 4 salesmen and 1 manager. And
One crazy than the other.
I left Subaru for peace of mind. I was at Subaru and I was at Douglas Toyota, and I had been at all these car dealers where it's stressful. It's like you're not stopping. You're gonna make money at the end of the month. You're gonna make $8 or $9 grand. In 1988, that was a lot of money. 87,
Yeah.
that was a lot of money. But you're not gonna. But at small dealerships, you made $3 grand, and you did what you wanted.
Right.
You got a demo.
You went to
got
the
a
movies. You went to the demo, and then we just went on a tear. Like George and I, it started like in July, and we had not the dealership intact, but we had the whole community intact. There was a mall across the street, the Boulder
Table Mesa? Was that Table Mesa?
Something Mesa Mall, and I never
Table
forget,
Mesa.
they had a thing called Things Remembered, a store called Things Remembered. And anytime I needed money, I would walk in and ask the girl where were the pens at, the cross pens.
The cross pens.
The cross pens, and she would open the thing for me and walk away. And I would steal 10 cross pens, walk them across the street, and sell the cross pens to the salesman. People were giving me orders. I would go from dealership to dealership, and people go, hey, what happened to that silver cross pen? So now I would have you on a list. So next time I went in there, I would have to steal a gross pen. It was just a horrid existence. The manager at the Chrysler store sold cocaine. Okay? Listen to me.
And a couple of sales
John
guys.
Roberto. What was his name? Joe Roberto? Something Roberto.
Jim Roberto?
Jim Roberto was the guy in the Chrysler store. The guy at the Dodge store. The guy at the Chrysler store, his name was Artie Pressler.
Great guy, Artie.
Great guy, great salesman, big time Jew out of the Bronx, 6'6", big, but he could fucking sell. He took me under his wing, and I became his protege, and he taught me how to fucking sell a car correctly, deposit, work it. I mean, he was just a good guy, but he sold coke. So I went in the morning and I would go, Artie, well, let's cut a deal. Let me get a gram of coke on the arm. And he'd go already. And we would be snorting coke in there at 11 in the morning. Customers would come on the lot.
Not me.
And there was
You guys.
You were a detailer.
I was in a different part.
You were in a different part. But at the same time, I had the keys to the soda machine.
Keys to the soda machine. We had the newspaper, the Boulder Camera. We had about 3 of those machines, Jimmy. So we would open it up. We would
Get the change.
About $10 a day in quarters there. And then when you would unload the soda machine.
I would unload. I had the keys to the soda machine, and I called it my ATM machine because the guy would leave the dollar bills in there. He would take the change out and put it into dollar bills. I don't know why till this day. So I would have to get there early to eat breakfast. I would have to open up my ATM machine, take some dollars out, and we would eat breakfast at Jack in the Box up the corner. They had something, a croissant.
He had about 10 pounds of quarters in that little, what's that little thing, the armrest? With that little fucking thing that
Oh, my God. You have no fucking idea, Lee. We used to have a guy that used to pick up George that got out of jail for robbing banks. Him and his.
What was that guy's name?
He was robbing banks.
Jimmy the Tooth.
And he used to pick up George. Him and his girlfriend would pick George up every day, and George would still be fucking late.
Yeah.
George would still be late. Like, George, they're outside waiting on you. She was very nice. Nobody ever thought of fucking her. She was very nice. What the fuck was her name?
Short, sandy hair.
Yeah, short, sandy hair.
Nice.
Very sweet woman. And she took care of the bank robber. He had just gotten out of jail.
Yeah.
He was selling cars.
This place was a cast of characters.
This place was a cast of characters.
My favorite thing
Vietnam vet Dale Jones, he was ready at any moment to just pull out an assault weapon.
Dale Jones was still living in Vietnam. Hamburger Hill. And he would come into a room.
He was in Hamburger Hill.
He was in Hamburger Hill. He would come into a room and go like this, make his hand slam back and forth. That meant he was selling the car. So he would come into a room, get on his hands and knees, and slam his hands back and forth. And then he'd go, watch me sell a car, baby. And he would do coke. And then whatever his name was, the manager, the good Jewish guy, Artie, couldn't take us fucking snorting coke no more. So he gave the coke operation to a guy named
Rob Dando.
To Rob Dando. Now Rob Dando, I made it my personal mission to just torture Rob Dando.
He thought he was from the city.
He was a great guy. He was he was a bass player. Like he was an old cat that got married.
So why are you torturing him?
Now he had kids because there's more to the story. You got to torture certain people. God puts certain people in your life for a reason. You think Jesus just popped up and just punches his pilot light? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? It happens. So my goal with one thing I could say about what was his name again? The salesman,
Artie. Artie or Rob?
Rob Dando. One thing I could say about Rob Dando is he could sell a fucking jar of hummus to ISIS. He could sell you. Yeah. He was brilliant. When he came into work, and once he did a blast of coke, you were buying. He'd be sweating and fucking shaking his head, the whole thing. So I had a connection with him. He didn't like cross pens. He liked red, the other ones, the ones with the arrow.
Uh-huh.
All right. He liked those red ones. He said they were his lucky pens.
His good luck. Yeah.
His good luck pens. So he became like for 3 months, I made him, I think he even ended up going to an insane asylum because he would cop an ounce of coke, but he wasn't allowed to bring it home because of his wife and kids. So he would stash it in the ceiling.
Up above the ceiling.
So I would get there at 6 a.m. The guy from service would go, Joey, what are you doing here so early? I go, I got to meet a customer. There's no customer. I would go in the ceiling, take Rob's coke out, take coke out of every package and put like aspirin powder in all the packages and sell it back and put it back in the ceiling like nothing happened. And then I let him come to work. I let him do a couple lines of coke. I let him grab a customer. I wouldn't argue. I didn't care if the customer was going to buy. I let Rob have him because that was going to turn into an 8-hour thing. Because in the process of Rob selling the car, I was going to steal his pen, his lucky red pen. So here he is, coked up. He has a car. He has a guy waiting to fucking sell him a car. And he would go up to Artie Pressler's desk with the worksheet and the pen and fill out the stuff. And then in his cocaine mind, he would leave the pen on the counter, go back into the office, and that's when I would come and take the pen, okay? And now he would come out and go, where's my lucky red pen? And Artie would go, I don't know what you're talking about. Nobody would see it. I would hide him in the back. Now for an hour, this kid would not sell that car until he had a lucky red pen. He would look under cars in the interior. He would look in the demos. The poor customers would be waiting, and he'd tell them, the customers would go, what are we doing here? And he goes, I can't sell you the car without my lucky red pen. So I'd wait all the way to the end till he was going to get, the people going to lose. And then I go, Rob, I got an extra one in the car for you for $20. He go, give it to me right now. And he'd give me like $10, whatever it was for the pen. But I just kept reselling them pens. And every time he had a customer.
Did you ever resell him a used pen? Like
all the time. It was the pen I just stole from him. And I would just put it in a fake box and take it out of the box in front of him. He never knew. Like, it wouldn't even be sealed. I would just put the pen inside the slot and give him the box, and he would just crack shit. I told this story years ago, and he contacted me on Facebook, and I always knew it was you. I went to therapy for years.
I like my favorite part about all these stories is you guys open it up with, we were pretty good employees.
Oh no, we were, and then there was and then George worked in partnership with this kid that was half retarded, Chris Miller or something like
Chris
that.
Miller was a sales guy.
Chris Miller was a sales
and then
guy,
that other
a young
dude,
kid. But there was a young kid that was
with
half
the
retarded.
glasses.
He had glasses.
That worked on my side.
But he had a hot girlfriend.
That little fucking dude.
Yes. They had a hot girlfriend. And just before I left, he became a coke dealer.
She worked there.
And we set him up. We set him up completely. Like I did a fucking something out of a movie. Like I sold the car, but the car had to get picked up in Tucson, Arizona.
Yeah.
He had to go get the car, so he had to leave the keys to his house in the thing. So I went into his house smoothly, took the coke, closed the door like nothing happened. He came back 2 days later. That was like the beginning of the end at Chrysler. That was it. Like that caused too much pain. People were crying. There was another kid that was a nice white kid that was from
That was Scott Miller.
No, there was Scott Miller, but there was another very nice white guy that was losing his hair. Really,
that's the dude with the glasses.
He didn't do drugs. He was from the Dakotas, and
I don't know. Wait, who was the one dude that that was from? His brother was a pilot, right? That put the fires out from the Dakotas.
From the Dakotas.
His brother died while we were there.
And we used
to.
He couldn't get weed in the Dakotas. So he would send these Indians down to me on Saturday to buy weed from Dakotas. So I couldn't make much profit off the price.
Why?
Because I would only get the weed for like $8, and I could only get 1,000 out of them. I don't know. I'm just making up numbers.
Okay.
I wasn't making a big profit margin.
Yeah.
So the only way I can make a big profit margin on them is if I took out half the weed and took a spray bottle, and I would spray the weed until it was a little bit before drenched. And then I would put it all back, and I would keep an ounce, seal it, and when they would come, they'd weigh it, and they go, it's 12 ounces. By the time they got back to North Dakota, it was 9 ounces because the water weight would drop, and I would take an ounce. I mean, what was going on at this time was just George was on his own tear. I was on my own tear. Oh, shit. I forgot all about that story when I was fucking selling weed to the Indians. That poor kid. They would come down for like a pound of weed, and I would take 2 ounces out and get a fine mist bottle, and I would break it into 2 bags. So it would be like 8 ounces in 2 bags to make 16 ounces. And I would spray them with water, the buds, and I would get it so it was perfect. Like if they got there late, I would have to respray it because it would fucking dehydrate or whatever the fuck. There you go, out of respect from the Indians. There you go. So you know we're not lying. Don't worry about it, Lee.
We're fine.
So it was just really weird how I did that shit. You know, George lived with me, obviously before the kidnapping. We're going to go into that in episode 2. But this was just, I wanted you guys to see where my head was at prior. You know, I was 25 years old. I had no control. I didn't give a fuck. I mean, when I started hanging out with George, I was basically 22 when his family took me in. His family took me in, guys. Just sight unseen. Like, he bailed me out of Bergen County Jail, took me to the hotel room. I took the duffel bag I had. I had a duffel bag in those days. And I went to his house, and they treated me like family, like I had known them for 20 years. I mean, how many people does that happen to? And they were Spanish, and I had been away from Spanish people for years. So for me just to get back in that circle with them, it was so special. Like, they brought me back to reality. I was clean off coke. I had gotten clean that January of 85. And I stayed with George till July of 85. Yes, I worked and I robbed and I did everything. But I was sober. I had a purpose. I had done a shoulder scam where I had fallen on my shoulder and I did some damage. And a friend of mine talked me into suing him, and I sued him. So when they gave me partial payment and then another partial payment, like I told you guys, I've never been the type of guy that you have to look at. You never have to tell me when to leave. I know when it's time to leave. Always have that gift that you know when it's time to exit, that you don't get exited. And it was just time to leave. And I loved George. I had a place in his family. I could have stayed there forever. I really feel bad and guilty at times because I probably had 4 or 3 sets of people that were really, really looking to get a hold of me then and do some nasty shit to me. And I, in a way, put them in danger. But the people that were looking for me didn't know how to maneuver their way out of North Bergen. They were, it's like when people leave all the mafia money. The mafia doesn't go to fucking Virginia to get you. They just play the odds. They know that you're going to come back for something and they'll get you when you come back. I stayed clear of North Bergen. I didn't step foot in North Bergen, not even to let them know I was in the area. They all thought I was in fucking southern New Jersey. I would write letters and take rides out to fucking southern New Jersey and write letters to my friends. So they thought I was staying down the shore. Meanwhile, I was in their fucking backyard. So always remember, if you're going to hide from somebody, hide right back in their backyard. They won't even know you're there. I'm happy you motherfuckers listen today. I told you, I'm putting my friends on that could tell you every fucking story. I'm not here to verify stories. I just want you guys to know what I was exposed to and how lucky I am. How many people would open up their homes to a 22-year-old fucking loser who's just getting out of Bergen County jail? Comedy was not even on my radar back then. If you notice, there was no talk of us even discussing comedy on our radar. It was straight up fucking being a savage. So I hope you got something out of the Monday morning podcast. What's up, Lee?
If you don't want to answer this, I'll just cut it out. But you've mentioned before how, like, when you were younger, you, because of The Godfather, you wanted a brother, and then all these people did all this stuff for you. And you're very open with your house. I'm not saying you're not. But has any part of you ever thought about doing something like people did for you? Like, if Mercy had a friend who needed to come over, like, have you thought about that?
Before Mercy was born, if you remember, that was our office.
Yeah.
That was our 2-bedroom. I got the bedroom because I thought at my time that my niece was going to come to college out here. So I got that bedroom for a niece. It just so happened that I knocked my fucking wife up.
Okay.
And it became a bedroom for my daughter. But in reality, yes, I always think that someday, before I die, my daughter's going to come home with a friend or somebody who's not in a good position. You know, in a couple of weeks, I'm going to have a different Julio Rodriguez on here, who he spoke about. Julio was my friend in the 5th grade. I lived with Julio's family pretty much in the 5th grade, even though I had a mother and a dad and I had a house, because my house was haunted. So I just would go to their house at night and stay there, and nobody said a word. You know, when the Runnies took me in, you know, when the Benders took me in, they took me in. There was no paperwork to file. There was a kid who needed a place, and they opened their home to me. When at my mother's wake, the Avillos came up to me and asked me, do you want to live with us? You know, I've just always been that lucky that God took away my family, but replaced it with a family. You know, July 1st this year, I'm on my 20th anniversary with my wife.
Wow.
And the other day, her and I were just laughing about the last 10 years. Like, what's happened the last 10 years? a kid, a podcast, a CD, touring, this is really the first time we've had a chance to talk in the last 10 years. Since we got married on the 9th or the 10th or something. So
the second 10 years is a lot different than the first.
Yes, it is. And it's just really interesting how we're stronger now. Like, this happened at a time when a family would get weak, the 20-year mark. It's making me and my wife stronger than we've ever been. And it's creeping over into my daughter. My daughter's starting to see this. So it's just like I told you people in the beginning of this horrible, horrible, horrible pandemic. I knew it was going to be bad, but I didn't know it was going to be this bad. And I didn't know that people were going to be dying in Florida and you weren't going to be allowed to go say goodbye to your loved ones and all this shit. But I also called something from the beginning of this podcast and from the beginning of this pandemic that there was going to be a silver lining to it. Yeah, you're probably going to lose your fucking job. But because of that, you and your girlfriend are become tighter, or you and your brother become tighter, or you and your mother become tighter, or because of the pandemic, you realize that you learned how to draw, and you're going to decide on drawing instead of going back to your fucking office job. There's going to be silver linings for everybody in all this, and I hope you all get that from this. I know you're all living in time right now, and you're like going, Joey, how can you say this? I haven't gotten a rent check in 3 weeks. I haven't gotten my stimulus check. I haven't gotten this, but you got your fucking health, and you got your mind, and you got your soul, and you got your fucking heart. So that's a lot more than a lot of other fucking people got. So before you start worrying about what you don't have, let's worry about what you do have and what you could do with it. And that's it, and that's that. It's a fucking Monday on the fucking church, cocksuckers. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got some laughs out of it. Like I say, this podcast is stories. Sometimes it turns into something serious. In the next couple of weeks, there might be a couple tears shed because we're going to dig into some fucking topics from my youth. But whatever it is, we're always here for you. We know you're going through a good time. I also want to thank you motherfuckers for supporting the podcast. We got no dates. I don't know when I'm going on the road again. Who gives a fuck? Everybody's breathing fucking dark smoke. Are you coming to Michigan? That's 3 months from now. Who the fuck knows? By that time, the Japs might bomb them with the Kawasaki disease. We might bomb them. We don't know what's going on. Every day there's a new story, and you're bothering me. Were you supposed to come to El Paso this weekend? Yeah. I'm going to fly in all the fucking huff and guff to fucking come see you in El Paso. We pushed that to January, February, like I told you. Get your money back. Don't worry about nothing. God knows when this is coming back. You motherfuckers over there sitting there with your $400 raging against the machine tickets. Put some salt and pepper on them. Can you taste them? No. Then what good of them? Send those things back, cocksucker. Anyway, it's Monday. Wash your pussy. This is for you to start the week off on the right leg. I hope you enjoyed Georgie Kolodinsky. Part 2 is Wednesday, when we go through the kidnapping and how it affected him and how it affected me and the whole thing. I love you guys. Have a great day. Stay black. Kick this motherfucking muley.